morning, everyone!
Hello, hello. You are almost at the end of the week. Let us help you get there. I'm Paolo del Rosario. Let's get you up to speed with some news that you could use right now.
Rise and shine, beautiful people! I'm Anne Asis-Carilo. Let's make this day extra special by starting it with laughter, good vibes, and the best company.
And I'm Monique Tuzon. As always, your mornings are always more fun with us. Join us in the next hour and a half for stories and conversations that matter. I thought today was Friday for some reason.
No,
Same.
Thursday always feels like Friday.
Exactly.
And I thought today we're gonna have Xyza as our guest, pero
Xyza.
it just
Ibang
turns out
Xyza.
it just turns out that si Mo does not know how to read Filipino names.
Yeah, I was so confused. I was like, oh, we got the Filipino Xyza coming.
That is because
Xyza pala. I'm so
we have a
sorry.
photographer coming in,
Yes.
Xyza
Right.
Bacani. Really interested to see her work.
And she's a big star as well.
Yeah.
Her
Yes.
works are fabulous.
I mean, like, it's not only that, the fact that she's uplifting mga OFW natin,
Yeah,
right? I mean, like,
yes,
all our
yes.
kababayans
Photography with a
overseas,
purpose.
wherever you are watching around the world. Hello, konnichiwa, ano pang what else?
Grabe
Bonjour.
ka naman
Bonjour.
sa greetings mo.
Hola. I'm running out of
Hola,
languages.
soy Dora.
Yeah.
Oh, what? I was gonna say something
Oh
and I
my
totally
God.
forgot.
I'm like, here we go again. Mag-i-eagle sound na naman kayo. Anne's gonna start talking in bird. I don't know what's happening
She's
this
talking like
morning.
Dora. All I can say is stop swiping, right? No swiping. Oh my goodness. All right, so
No, but we
Bueno,
have
bueno.
love hacks later. That was
Ayun.
why I was gonna say that. It's exciting
She
because
remembered.
yeah, Coach V's joining us later on, and she'll
Oo.
be talking about something very interesting.
I
Yeah.
don't even know her topic this morning.
I don't know her topic either.
I'm
Go
excited.
find out.
I want to
Priceless
wait.
Huh?
Priceless love.
Priceless love. Kaya mapapadora kayo mamaya, no swiping. Okay? But we're gonna start off first with some serious business because we begin with this breaking news. Acting Secretary of the Presidential Communications Office, Cesar Chavez, is on his way out. Chavez says he filed his irrevocable resignation last February 5 and he will step down on February 28 or earlier as soon as his replacement is named. The resigned official thanks President Marcos for the opportunity to serve and the trust and confidence given to him. Meantime, Politico learned former ABS-CBN broadcast journalist Jay Ruiz is reportedly set to be appointed as the new president's new communication chief.
Senate President Cheese Escudero reiterates the impeachment trial for Vice President Sara Duterte will not commence while Congress is on break. Escudero says the proceedings will begin only after the fourth State of the Nation address in July. Escudero also adds the Office of the Solicitor General will take care of the petitions filed, calling for the immediate start of the impeachment trial. Citing the Constitution, legal experts, including Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel, are urging the upper house to start as soon as possible. But Escudero says the Senate will follow the Supreme Court's directive if it's in accordance with the rules.
Dahil naisampa na ang impeachment, may katiyakan na magkakaroon ng impeachment trial at kailangan itong paghandaan ng Senado. Hindi namin inaaksa yung aming panahon bagaman recess. Hindi sinasabing immediately mag-convene. Wala sa konstitusyon yun. Ang nakalagay, shall proceed with trial forthwith. I respect Senator Pimentel as a lawyer, and I know he's a bar top-notcher, so we will nevertheless refer this matter to the Senate Rules Committee and to the legal team.
The Commission on Elections has not yet received any complaint against senatorial candidate Pastor Quiboloy on a video message he supposedly recorded. In an interview with Agenda, COMELEC Chairman George Garcia assures the public they will immediately act on any election offense complaint that may be filed against Quiboloy or other candidates.
Bagamat hindi ko pa po talaga fully nakikita yung buong kalaman ng video, tayo po'y maghihintay kung sakali may magpa-file ng kaso dito sa atin. Mahirap po ako magsabi kaagad at mag-conclude na ito ay isang election offense o may ground ba talaga to declare Mr. Quiboloy as having committed election offense. Baka naman po ma-preempt natin. Pero definitely, pagka may na-file po sa atin, kaagad natin po yung aaksyonan upang magkaroon kaagad ng kaliwanagan kung sakali magkakaroon po ng kaso.
Meantime, the COMELEC clarifies that any form of financial assistance given to voters now, such as tupad or akap, may still be done now, but this will be prohibited 45 days before the election or starting March 28. As for the disqualification case filed against the Tulfo siblings, Garcia says it has been assigned to the First Division, which can now issue summons so that the case can be resolved by the second or third week of March. Let's find out what the weather will be like this Thursday. Pao Pao gives us today's forecast from Weather HQ. Take it away, Pao.
Thanks so much, Mo. Well, there will be Mo rain, and of course, that might leave you under the weather because 3 weather systems are expected to bring scattered rain and thunderstorms today. Now, the northeast monsoon will affect the northern and central Luzon, bringing cloudy skies and scattered rain showers as well as isolated thunderstorms in these areas. Now, especially in the Cordillera Administrative Region, Cagayan Valley, and over in Aurora. Now, the rest of Luzon will experience partly cloudy skies with isolated light rains. Now, in the southern parts of the country, the shear line will bring cloudy skies with scattered rains and isolated thunderstorms over in the Quezon, Bicol, Laguna, Rizal, Mimaropa, the Visayas, and the Caraga regions. So this entire area over here affected by the shear line. Now, residents in these areas should be cautious of potential flash floods and landslides, particularly in low-lying areas. Now, let's take a look at Mindanao, where the easterlies will bring cloudy weather with isolated rain showers and thunderstorms mainly in the afternoon or in the evening. So that's for the entirety of Mindanao. Now, regarding sea conditions, a gale warning is in effect for the eastern seaboard of northern Luzon, particularly along the eastern coast of Cagayan and Isabela. Now, all mariners are advised to stay off the water as wave heights may reach up to 4.0 meters. Back to you, girls.
Thank you so much, Pao. Government officials in Pasay in trouble over the alarming presence of pogos in the city. The Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission says they are looking to file charges against the LGU. The PAOC says they are working with the Justice and the Interior Departments to strengthen the case buildup. A number of pogo raids were carried out in Pasay City, including one in the basement of Heritage Hotel. PAOC spokesman Winston Casio says they are also studying the hotel's criminal liability in harboring illegal offshore gaming operators.
We are doing case build-up against some local chief executives here in the metro because a good number of the POGO that we have raided in the last few months were located here in Metro Manila. You could always look at Google where most of these raids in Metro Manila were conducted. So obviously, the LGU, the local chief executive in that particular location is also being investigated. Unfortunately, I could not divulge the details of the case build-up. No? But you can always read between the lines kasi sunod-sunod na po yung raid sa kanyang teritoryo.
The armed forces condemning China's latest bullying in the West Philippine Sea. The AFP slammed the move as illegal, aggressive, and blatant disregard of internationally accepted norms on good airmanship and flight safety. The armed forces also urged the Chinese Navy to respect the Philippines' sovereignty and follow international laws. The AFP and the Navy also assures they will continue protecting our territory according to the law, despite China's harassment.
Now, ready your pockets, airline passengers, because plane tickets are set to increase next month. This comes after several aeronautics board hiked the fuel surcharge from level 4 to level 5. This means plane tickets for domestic flights will increase by 151 to 542 pesos, depending on the distance traveled. Tickets for international flights are set to soar by almost 500 pesos to 3,700 pesos.
The Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry is warning that across-the-board wage hikes could backfire, raising inflation and hurting small businesses. PCCI Chairman George Barcelon tells the Bilyonaryo news channel's Follow the Money the country already has some of the highest wages in ASEAN and should focus on boosting competitiveness instead of mandating higher pay. Barcelona argues that a 30% wage hike will lead to higher costs for consumers and job losses, particularly for MSMEs that make up 99.6% of local businesses. He adds that power costs and ease of doing business must be addressed to attract foreign investors.
When you mandate across the board increase in wage like that, the tendency is that we're not encouraging or we're not giving wages based on meritocracy. We're just saying, okay, they'll just wait for increase from the legislator to work on it, which I think would not be beneficial. We have one of the highest wages already in the ASEAN region, but the other ASEAN countries, including Thailand, Indonesia, and upcoming Vietnam and Cambodia, their wages are lower than ours. We don't want to price ourselves out of the competition.
Manila Archbishop Jose Cardinal Advincula appeals for prayers for the healing of Pope Francis. This comes after the Holy See press office said the Pope had bilateral pneumonia requiring additional treatment. The Cardinal requests parishes and communities to organize prayers for the speedy recovery of the Holy Father.
In world news, U.S. President Donald Trump taking a tough stance against the Associated Press. He says the news agency's access to his events and news conferences will remain restricted until it agrees to call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. This is the first time Trump himself had commented on the issue since the White House barred AP from covering several of the president's events last week, shortly after taking office. Trump renamed the international body of water which borders the United States, Mexico, and other countries and has been called the Gulf of Mexico for more than 400 years.
The Associated Press just refuses to go with what the law is and what is taking place. It's called the Gulf of America now. It's not called the Gulf of Mexico any longer. I have the right to do it, just like we have the right to do Mount McKinley, and nobody's even challenging that. But only the essentially, it's primarily the Associated Press, and I don't know what they're doing, but I just say that we're going to keep them out until such time as they agree that it's the Gulf of America. We're very proud of this country, and we want it to be the Gulf of America.
We'll get more updates from the U.S. on these stories. First, the Trump administration this week is hailing talks in Saudi Arabia on ending the war in Ukraine that included U.S. and Russian officials, but no Ukrainians. Plus, the latest on the investigation into why a passenger plane burst into flames and flipped upside down as it attempted to land in Toronto. And finally, the NBA makes changes to its All-Star Game format. Voice of America correspondent Chris Casquejo joins us live from Washington, D.C. with more on these stories. Hi, Chris. Good evening and good morning.
Good evening to you from Washington, D.C.
Chris, can you tell us what is the White House saying about these peace talks?
Well, the White House is saying that it is bringing together the warring parties in what it's calling parallel track diplomacy and hailing it as a key first step in ending this 3-year conflict in Ukraine for good. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Washington and Moscow agreed broadly on embassy staffing and creating a high-level team for peace talks. But at his home in Florida, U.S. President Donald Trump addressed criticism that Ukraine wasn't invited to these initial talks, saying, quote, "I heard, oh, well, we weren't invited." Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it in 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal. Trump talking about Ukraine, even though it was Russia that invaded Ukraine unprovoked. Now, U.S. Secretary of State Rubio says talks will continue, but did not say whether this next round will include Ukraine.
Now, Chris, let's talk about that Delta aircraft crash landing in Toronto. What is the latest on the investigation?
Right. Aviation experts say investigators will consider the weather conditions, the possibility of human error or an aircraft malfunction to figure out why this Delta Airlines jet burst into flames and flipped upside down as it tried to land in Toronto. Video from the scene Monday afternoon shows the plane landing so hard that its right wing is sheared off. It burst into flames before sliding down the runway and flipping over. Miraculously, all 80 people on board the flight from Minneapolis to Toronto Pearson International Airport survived. Now, communication between the tower and pilot were normal on approach, and it's not clear what went wrong when the plane touched down. The Canadian company Bombardier makes the Mitsubishi CRJ 900. Aviation experts said investigators will consider the conditions on the ground, the pilot's actions before landing, and potential problems with the landing gear. The Meteorological Service of Canada says at the time of the crash, Pearson International Airport was experiencing blowing snow and winds of 51 kilometers per hour, gusting to 65 kilometers per hour. The temperature was about minus 8.6 degrees Celsius. Experts say everyone survived this Delta crash due to safety improvements from airlines and aircraft manufacturers, including wings that are designed to come off to reduce explosions, well-trained flight crews, and seats built to withstand impacts of up to 16 times the force of gravity. And look at that. I mean, there were people upside down when they entered that door, and wow, it's amazing that they all survived.
Well, it's great that they all survived, Chris. But of course, we now move on to a bit of sports here because moving on to the new NBA All-Star Game format is now a tournament that featured 4 teams as opposed to the traditional 2-team game. Now, there has been a lot of blowback online with regards to the reaction to what we all saw during the All-Star weekend. But Chris, what's the verdict from the players?
Decidedly mixed. Here's New York Knicks All-Star Jalen Brunson. He said, I think it's interesting, it's different. Golden State Warriors former MVP and All-Star Steph Curry weighed in saying, I think it was a good step in the right direction to reinvigorate the game in some way. But Boston Celtics All-Star Jason Tatum said, trial run, I guess. They'll continue to make tweaks or whatever. So not exactly a ringing endorsement from Tatum. The NBA All-Star Game format debuted over the weekend with 4 teams, 3 games, and only 40 points needed to end each of the games. The league decided that the untimed shorter games would lead to better competition. But San Antonio Spurs phenom and star Victor Wembanyama, who's a native of France, supports another idea instead of this tournament format, pitting the U.S. on one side against players from the world on the other side. The NBA says about 70% of players in the league are American and 30% aren't. Now, a mid-season matchup between the best American players and the best international players is already taking place right now in another sport, ice hockey. The NHL's Four Nations Face-Off Tournament opened last week in Montreal, and it ends Thursday in Boston with the U.S. assured of a spot in the championship game versus Canada, and the tournament features players representing the U.S., Canada, Finland, and Sweden. So what did you all think of this new NBA All-Star Game format?
Actually, I was going to bring that up with you, what the NHL is doing right now, because a lot of people were complaining and are complaining about the lack of competitiveness in the NBA. And in the first 9 seconds of the US-Canada game in the NHL, there were 3 fights. There were literally 3 face-offs where people were ripping each other's faces off. Now, you take a look at the competitiveness here, and I'm not sure if you do watch the hockey, but I'm hearing a lot of people now excited for that potential final between the U.S. and Canada happening Thursday here in the Philippines, I believe Friday for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be must-see TV, and you're right. Those fights took place within the first seconds of the game involving the Kachuk brothers from Team USA, and there's something to be said about playing for your country, especially when it's a non-Olympic year. You know, these players used to play, the NHL players used to play in the Olympics, but they didn't figure out how to have that done in the previous few Winter Olympics. So, I mean, it's very clear that when you're representing your country, there is much more that's on the line than, you know, personal pride. National pride is on the line. The U.S. team has invited U.S. President Donald Trump to watch this final game versus Canada, but so far he has yet to accept that invitation.
There were reported booing of the United States national anthem in that game between Canada and the United States.
Wow.
But of course, I wasn't there and unable to confirm it myself, but then the videos coming out of it have been circulating online as well. Chris, I'm sure you would represent the Philippines in a basketball game, and I wish to see that very soon. Really appreciate you joining us here today.
I can only do a layup, and I can only jump about 6 inches.
Hey, that's more than most people.
There are not a lot of Filipinos who can dunk, Chris.
Yeah.
There are not a lot of Filipinos who can dunk, so really appreciate you.
Thank you so much again, Chris Casquejo from Voice of America. Always a pleasure.
Now, speaking of actual national team athletes for the Philippines, in sports, Gilas Pilipinas will be in action tonight for the final window of the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers. The Samaang Basketball ng Pilipinas unveiled the team's final 12 ahead of its match against Chinese Taipei later at 7 p.m. Now, you've got mainstays like Justin Brownlee, Junmar Fajardo, Japet Aguilar rejoins the team after missing out the Qatar Pocket Tournament. Scotty Thompson and Dwight Ramos, as well as AJ Edu is back with 7'3" big man Kai Soto recovering from a knee injury that will keep him out for the year. Now, they will next face New Zealand on Sunday, February 23 in Auckland. The Philippines seeks to complete a clean sweep of the qualifiers. Gilas Pilipinas is already qualified for the Continental Showpiece over in August. Now, moving on to some heavy lifting, because weightlifting queen Idalyn Diaz Naranjo is out to chase Olympic glory one more time in Los Angeles. The country's first Olympic gold medalist is seeking to qualify for the 2028 Summer Games. Idalyn says she is planning to start a family with her husband and coach Julius Naranjo before the rigorous qualification process that begins next year. Diaz says she will prioritize Olympic qualifications instead of participating in regional events like the Southeast Asian Games this year. The Olympic champion missed the Paris Games last year due to a change in the weight classes. Still on Idalyn Diaz turns one of her lifelong advocacies into reality. Weightlifting is included at this year's Palarong Pambansa. On her social media accounts, Diaz says that weightlifting will be a demonstration sport in the youth multi-sport event happening in Lawag, Ilocos Norte. The Olympic champion thanked Education Secretary Sonny Angara, the Palarong Pambansa Board, and the Samahang Weightlifting ng Pilipinas for their help and support. Idalyn also says she is collaborating with the technical working group to achieve the goal of weightlifting becoming a regular sport in the youth showcase. Now, meanwhile, in college sports, the NU Lady Bulldogs remain perfect in their quest for back-to-back titles in the UAAP Season 87. The defending women's volleyball queens cruised past the Ateneo Blue Eagles Wednesday at the Phil Oil Eco Oil Center in San Juan. Eliza Solomon led the Sampaloc base squad with 12 points off 10 kills, while Vanj Alinsug added 10 markers. In the next game, the UP Fighting Maroons escaped the FEU Lady Tamaraws in 4 sets to win 2 in a row. Joan Monares led the Diliman base squad with 19 points off 17 kills and 2 aces.
In entertainment news, Grammy-nominated rapper A$AP Rocky found not guilty of 2 felony counts of assault with a semi-automatic weapon in a 2021 altercation with another hip-hop artist in Hollywood. Rocky, the partner of singer Rihanna and father of her 2 sons, was accused of pointing a handgun at a former friend, Terrell Efren, during a heated argument, then firing twice in Efren's direction during a second confrontation. Rocky's defense attorney said the gun involved in the incident was a prop gun the artist had used in a music video and that it fired only blanks. They also said Efren was the aggressor in the confrontation.
We want to thank God first. You got to thank God first, you know what I'm saying? Amen. I really want to thank the jury for making the right decision, you know? And I'm just so thankful. This is crazy right now. This whole experience has been crazy for the past 4 years, but I'm thankful. Nonetheless, I'm thankful. And we're blessed to be here right now, to be a free man talking to y'all. Thank you. All praise to God.
Taylor Swift makes history yet again. For a record 5th time, Swift is named the Global Recording Artist of the Year by the International Federation of the Phonographic Industry, or IFPI. IFPI is an organization that represents the recording music industry across the globe. The group says Taylor's album, Tortured Poets Department, led in sales and streams in 2024. This is the 3rd consecutive year the pop star won the title. She was first hailed the Recording Artist of the Year in 2014 and 2019.
Now up ahead, we catch up with Filipino photographer Xyza Bacani, who tells the unsung stories of overseas Filipino workers. Know more about her inspiring story after the break. It's a beautiful day. We'll be right back. Hello, welcome back. You're still watching It's a Beautiful Day. Our guest this morning was a second-generation domestic helper in Hong Kong who broke the cycle through her photography. Now she uses her art to tell the less visible stories of migrant workers and labor issues. Xyza Cruz Bacani was a fellow of the Magnum Foundation Photography, whose work is in the permanent collections of several museums globally, including the city of New York and Abu Dhabi. She now joins us live via Zoom from New York. It's a beautiful day, Xyza. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and this evening over there.
Hi, it's a beautiful night in New York City. Very cold.
Yeah, very. Well, Xyza, your pictures are so unique and so inspiring. Can you tell us where did you get the inspiration to take pictures of OFWs? It's such a unique niche.
Well, it's because I am a migrant worker myself. So I started by taking photographs of Hong Kong during my free time. And actually, I started because of my mother. She never really went out for day off. So I just have to go out and show it to her. So in some ways, I became my mother's eye, and it was just for fun, really. It's a way of expressing myself. I was really young back then, so that's all how it started.
So you started photography in 2015, right, Xyza? And you have championed overseas Filipino workers. Do you think there has been progress in the way migrant workers are treated now?
Actually, way before 2015, actually, if I'm not mistaken, Xyza?
Yeah, I started in 2009, and then
2009, okay.
Yeah, my name just came out in 2014, actually. But, there's been progress, though challenges remain when it comes to migration. I mean, one of the significant development is the establishment of the Department of Migrant Workers, because it consolidates government efforts to support and protect OFWs. And one thing that I noticed is there's a shift in public perception. More people recognize the value of migrant workers, and platforms like your platform now exist to amplify our stories. I think there's also this evolving language used to describe the migrant experience, moving away from victimization and towards more into a nuanced and empowering narrative.
Yeah. Xyza, there's so many ways to present the migrant story for Filipinos. There's just so many ways you can go about it. You can romanticize it, but you don't necessarily do that. You go out there and show it for what it is, by the same time telling a story that not a lot of people really experience by their activities, their expressions. We've seen some of the fun, almost festive environments in areas that are not really festive. Could you tell us a bit more about the storytelling aspect of your work? Because this is a lens we're not used to seeing, at least back here at home.
Well, striking a balance in storytelling is important. It's crucial to highlight the hardships that migrant workers endure, but we must also celebrate the triumphs and the impact they create, because it makes them more relatable. Recognizing their agency is essential, because they're not just passive subjects of struggle, but active participants in shaping their destinies. I mean, I know that story myself because I've been through it. The journey of migration can be really painful. Yet it also offers, opportunities for social and economic mobility, which we need to acknowledge.
And Xyza, I've noticed, so part of your storytelling, most, I think, or all of your photos are in black and white. I just want to hear from you personally why you chose black and white.
Well, I say this as a joke, but it's more like vibes lang. But
For the
Puso dati.
But to be honest, it's because I like focusing on the emotional aspect of the photo, but I do photograph in color and I also paint in color. So I think when it comes to my documentary work, personal works, I really love spotlighting the emotional aspect of the frame to take away all the other noises, you know?
Yeah, I love that. And, the thing with migrant Filipinos is that, first of all, they're all over the world. I love going around Dubai, and then it feels like I'm in Green Hills minsan. Because of the amount of Filipinos in certain malls and all of that, or in certain communal places. But then, one of the things that I feel personally, just talking to migrant workers or families who have moved overseas, is that they face some people forgetting how Filipino they are here at home. They look at them as almost a separate class, a separate identity. Like kung OFW ka, maybe a bit less Filipino because all the time you spend overseas. Is that something that you want to try and bridge when you bringing them back home with your photos as well?
Yes, because one thing that we bring wherever we go is our Filipino-ness. Like the idea that, our identity as Filipinos, the idea of kapwa. We do that everywhere. Like as you mentioned, like wherever you go, if there's a Filipino, they're gonna smile at you, laugh with you, and offer you food. The offering of food is very Filipino. So I really want to encourage people not to see them as a separate class and instead embrace their achievements, embrace their sacrifices, and see them as not a bagong bayani, but see them as our fellows, our kapwa.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right, yes.
Yeah.
Xyza, you yourself, you were a domestic helper in Hong Kong. Can you take us to that moment when you realized that you wanted to pursue photography?
Well, I took care of 6 children in Hong Kong, and the eldest, he's now 26, he keeps telling people that my story is 1 in a million. And it's quite true in some ways because, art has always been my passion since I was young, since I was still growing up in the Philippines. But when you're in survival mode, you cannot create. Art needs stability. And during the time that I was in the Philippines and my mom wasn't there to take care of me, even though I want to create, I want to draw, I want to paint, I can't do that because I was busy becoming a mother to my own siblings. So when I went to Hong Kong and I finally got a job, I finally got a salary, I was able to embrace that artistic side of me. And because photography is very accessible compared to painting or other forms of mediums, that's when I started taking photos. So that's when I realized that, you know what? I could be this person.
Right, yes.
And you have a book now as well, We Are Like Air. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Oh, yeah. So We Are Like Air is my first book. It's a very personal and a universal story of love, family, and sacrifices. We are like air because migrant workers are like air. We are important. We are a necessity for our society to survive. But we are often unseen. You know what I mean? Like, just like air. Without air, we suffocate. And that's why I the metaphor of air and migrants. And it's been, it resonated with a lot of people, and now it's on its 3rd edition. It's centered towards my mom's story and 8 chapters of different stories weaved together from Hong Kong.
Yeah, and Xyza, congrats, by the way, on obtaining a Magnum Foundation Human Rights Scholarship over there in New York and an MA in Art Politics, correct? How has this changed your life, and how is New York?
Aside from the horrible weather, too long, life is grand. I am very fortunate that, when you move and, migrate, you have to start from zero. But when I moved to New York, I didn't really start from zero because I already have shows, solo shows, and my works have been collected by museums. And also, my favorite one was when they showed my work at JFK with my name on it. I felt like it was like a full circle. Like I arrived in this airport as an insecure young Filipino photographer, and then 10 years after, my works are being shown in that airport. So that's my favorite part. Yeah.
Wow, I love it. It's a full circle moment.
Yeah.
And, it feels very timely right now in the United States in particular, with all of the crackdown on illegal aliens in particular, with everything that even Filipino migrants are being affected with at the moment, whether you be immigrants, legal immigrants, or those who are there just looking for greener pastures. Do you feel that your work holds a bit more significance right now, considering what Filipinos in the United States could be experiencing at the moment?
Well, one of the challenges of migration is, the political climate today, not just in the United States, but globally, it presents significant challenges for migrant workers. Migration is always shaped by the policies of host countries, and those policies can shift unpredictably.
Yeah.
But I believe Filipinos and migrants in general are adaptable. Policies may change, like there will be a new government, there will be a new regime, but the pursuit of a better future for us and our families is the one constant thing that Filipinos have. And I think we have to remember that no matter whatever is happening.
Xyza, the Philippines has an ambition to supply quality, skilled workers overseas, as evident in globalized education and its labor expert programs. While this is central to the economy, what aspects of labor migration are you most critical about?
Do you have the whole day? I'm just kidding. No, I mean, labor migration has been significant in the it's a significant part of the Philippine economy since the 70s.
Yep.
And while it provides financial stability for many families and contributes to national economic growth, I believe that migration should be an option, not a necessity for Filipinos. Our people are talented, skilled, hardworking, and if there were better economic opportunities and a stronger support system within the country, many of us would choose to stay and contribute to nation building.
Yeah.
Based on my personal experience as a child who was left behind by my own mother at the age of 8, I am very concerned about the children who were left behind by migrant parents. Many of these children grew up without a profound sense of completeness because the growing up factor has been disrupted, and it's kind of difficult to be an adult and form your identity when the fundamental need of love and presence were not met during childhood. If you want a future of fully functioning adults or adulting, I think we need to address that issue at its core. And the last one, promise. The excessive financial burden placed on OFWs.
Yeah.
One particular issue that I don't agree with is the mandatory PhilHealth contribution, premium contribution. Because, again, these should be optional, right? These are our bayanis, So, since many of these OFWs cannot even use it anyway, and every dollar we take from them is us taking food away for their families. So we need to find ways to ease the burden and support them more effectively.
So that's a lot of points that we wish we could really dive into, but we're running out of time. One of the things that I really enjoy about seeing Filipinos overseas is that there's a term, malambot ang dila. It feels like we sound like the people around us. We sound like the people wherever around the world. We can talk to them. We're such great communicators. But in doing so, we kind of blend in a bit too much. And you're there helping them stand out instead. At the end of the day, what do you want us, those here at home in Manila, in the Philippines, to have a new idea of our migrant Filipinos, our OFW Filipino brothers and sisters, trying to make a better future moving forward?
It all starts with a very simple thing. You mentioned about how we can communicate, right? I think there's a lack of communication between the families and the OFWs themselves. We need to learn to tell our families our struggles. And for families back home, we need to ask our migrants what's really happening with them. A simple kumusta ka, and I hope you're okay, will mean a lot for a migrant mother or a migrant father or a sister. So we could start with that one.
Well, thank you so much, Xyza, for all your insights, and I'm glad that we got to delve deeper into your work, and we're excited to see where your work and where yourself are gonna go. Thank you so much, Filipina photographer Xyza Cruz Bacani.
Thank you. Bye.
Now, up ahead, it caused a major shock when vlogger DJ Jellie Aw came forward alleging partner Jam Ignacio of physically assaulting her. After the break, Dr. Camille Garcia joins us to talk about escaping an abusive relationship. Don't go away. It's a beautiful day. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back. You're still watching It's a Beautiful Day. Leaving an abusive relationship is easier said than done. After the viral issue of Jam Ignacio's physical assault towards vlogger DJ Jellie Aw, it opened a conversation online about abuse and how violence should never be tolerated in relationships. Clinical psychologist Dr. Camille Garcia joins us today via Zoom to talk about escaping an abusive relationship. It's a beautiful day. Doc Camille, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hi, good morning, Monique, Anne, and Paolo.
Doc, we see this happening not just in movies, but in real life as well. Men and women in abusive relationships, and they're not leaving. They're staying there for whatever reason. No? First and foremost, let's define an abusive relationship. So how can you tell that you're in one? And why is it so difficult to leave that kind of relationship?
Okay, when you say an abusive relationship, of course, there's a possibility that it is a physical abuse. It can also be financial abuse or sexual abuse. And it is incredibly complex, and there are many intertwined reasons why it can be so difficult. First, there's a possibility of what you call trauma bonding. When you say trauma bonding, the cycle of abuse with periods of violence followed by apologies and honeymoon phases creates a strong emotional bond. So definitely, this can make it feel like the abuser is also a source of your comfort and love. Then there's a possibility that abusers often use threats, both verbal and physical, to control their partners. And it erodes a person's self-worth, making them believe they deserve the abuse or that they won't be able to survive on their own. And definitely there is gaslighting involved.
Well, Doktora, when you take a look at the early telltale signs that, okay, medyo naging abusive na to. Minsan di naman physical eh. Sometimes it's a bit more emotional. Sometimes it comes with the words. For those wondering, how do you tell if a relationship is starting to get abusive?
Probably the first thing you can see is the controlling behavior. So they try to cut you off from your friends, your family. They get jealous of your time spent with others. Then they constantly check your phone, social documents, or even your emails. Then there's a possibility that they tell you what to wear, how to act, or what to think. They make all the decisions in their relationship, and it comes to a point that they constantly criticize your appearance, your abilities, or even your intelligence mo. They call you names or make you feel worthless. Yun yung mga possibility na it happens na they're starting to control the relationship as well as the possibility to recognize na meron ng sign of abusive relationship.
Doc, it's easier said than done, right? When you hear abuse and when you start seeing the abuse happening, I mean, it's really hard to get out of that relationship. So let me ask you a two-part question. So my first question is, how do you get out of the abusive relationship if you're not legally bound? And my second question is, how do you get out of it if you are legally bound? Because we don't have a divorce law here in the Philippines, and I know that's a very controversial thing right now.
Okay, living in a abusive relationship requires careful planning and support. In fact, it is so difficult for reasons that you don't know where is a safe place to go. A way to contact help, napaka-difficult yun. And then definitely, pag sinabi mo, if you go to the barangay level na go to complain sa women's desk, sometimes it's so difficult for you to report that there's an abusive ongoing. You have to secure also, probably first thing, you have to gather copies of documents of identification, financial records, or legal documents. Tapos, you store them in such a way na parang at least ito yung mga documents that will say na there's an abusive relationship. Then you establish a network, identify trusted friends or even family members who can provide support. Use a code word to signal when you need help. Kasi sometimes it's so difficult kasi pagdating sa ganyan, parang you don't know how to seek yung possible help. Although there are domestic violence hotlines available dito sa Quezon City, we have yung just dial hotline 122. Parang there's already possible help for you. But then it's also difficult. The first thing, you don't know the shelter and support organizations, yung domestic violence shelters, napaka-difficult para sabihin natin. In fact, ako hindi ko masyado din alam kung saan nandun yung mga shelters for that. But there are shelters for domestic violence. And siyempre, local organizations provides counseling, legal aid, parang ganon. And even the women's desk from the barangay level to the police station, they will be able to help you out there because there are sa DSWD, they also comfort women for this reason. So regardless whether legal or parang partner or dating relationship lang, they will be able to help you out on what to do.
You know, Doc, understandable, no? Minsan talaga for women, they are ashamed of telling the world na they are in an abusive relationship. Sometimes they try to protect pa their partners by not speaking about what is going on. Lalo na pag married, no? Ang hirap. And when there are children involved, ang hirap talaga. Going back to the recent issue about si DJ Jellie Aw and the partner, they say na it was an issue of jealousy kaya nangyari yung that incident. Now let's talk about jealousy. How should couples properly tackle this issue, the issue of jealousy?
Okay, probably first thing, jealousy in a relationship can be a complex and challenging emotion. Remember, it is possible for couples to address it constructively and strengthen their bond. One, there should be an open and honest communication. You have to create a safe space wherein you establish an environment where both partners feel comfortable expressing their feelings. Then, probably for this reason, you have to use the I statements wherein pag you say na, I feel jealous rather than you make me jealous. This helps to avoid blame and defensiveness. Tapos, active listening. Practice active listening to each other's concern. You have to demonstrate empathy and understanding and try to also identify the root cause. You have to reflect and encourage your partner to reflect on the underlying causes of jealousy. Because is it rooted in insecurity, past experiences, or lack of trust? So understanding the triggers will be able to help you out more or less. The building the trust and security, syempre maging consistent ka na, reliable. So there is reassurance already. And definitely have to set boundaries. To establish these boundaries, both partners will feel comfortable with.
Communication is key, Doc. Right. But then there are also instances wherein some people, medyo in denial sila that they are in an abusive relationship. Sinasabi lang nila na, ganun talaga siya. Medyo intense o ganun lang talaga siya magsalita kapag galit. But when you hear statements like that, how do you get someone to recognize the fact that they are in an abusive relationship without necessarily saying, "Uy, you're actually in one"? How do you help them see it instead?
Okay, one thing, it's so difficult, Paolo, no, for reasons that there are certain individuals, like certain women, na talagang they will even tell na, ako yung to be blamed,
Yes.
ako yung siguro yung may mali.
Yes,
So
yes.
parang it's so difficult for them na parang sabihin, parang ikaw yung may blame, ikaw na nga yung physically abused. Kasi naman may black eye ka na nga't lahat-lahat. And then, ganyan pa yung hindi, ako talaga yung may mali. So that becomes yung, this individual is already considered a battered person. And syempre, pagdating sa ganyan, you have to tell this person, oy, kailangan mo na talaga ng tulong. You have to practice not only self-care, pero at the same time, probably you have to seek professional help. Kasi sometimes they don't listen eh. Parang bibigyan mo sila ng options, bibigyan mo sila ng possibility na, oy, you might need counseling, ganun. Ay, hindi. Okay lang yun, kaya ko yun. Parang yung ganun. So pagdating sa ganyan, siguro talagang kailangan ng full support, not only from the primary support group, but also from friends para to make them realize that they really need help.
You know, Doc, I'm sure some of our viewers, they can relate to this topic, and there will be people who will be so afraid to tell the world about what they're going through and to reach out. But if they do want to reach out to you, how can they get in touch with you, Doc?
We have our Facebook page, the Clinic of the Holy Spirit, so they can write what are their concerns. And we have our facility here in Cubao. It's the Clinic of the Holy Spirit, located at number 4 Los Angeles Street, Cubao.
Thank you so much, clinical psychologist Dr. Camille Garcia. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Now we've got more stories for you after the break. Plus, find out your horoscope for today. Don't go away. It's a beautiful day. We'll be right back. Only here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.
There's a call from the secretary to be proactive, that there will be no sudden reduction in the volume of eggs that's produced, including monitoring the prices of egg. Sometimes when there is oversupply of egg, the tendency of the industry is to do culling to the point that there will be significant change in the volume of production.
From the filing of candidacies until the last ballot is counted, your newest trusted news source, BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel, will be at the forefront to guide your decisions and guard your vote. Tune in to BNC's Election 2025 special coverage. This February, let's celebrate love in all its beautiful forms. Whether it's romance, friendship, or family, love makes every moment special. From our hearts to yours, Happy Love Month.
Welcome back. You're now watching Weather HQ on It's a Beautiful Day. Let's take a look at the global weather. Japan experienced significant snowfall yesterday as a cold front brought a more wintry conditions to the country's central regions. According to the Japan Meteorological Agency, or JAMA, Heavy snow warning was issued on Wednesday, predicting intense snowfall up to 70 centimeters within 24 hours in areas along the Sea of Japan coast. Niigata Prefecture already received over 3 meters of snow this winter, with fresh snowfall observed yesterday. This intense winter weather was expected before temperatures are anticipated to rise next week. While sinkholes are common in Japan, residents of Godstone, southeastern England, were stunned when a large sinkhole opened on Monday and continued to expand, prompting evacuations. A second sinkhole appeared on Wednesday, resulting in road closures and the declaration of a major incident. No injuries have been reported, and authorities are looking into the cause, with possible explanations including traffic or a burst water pipe. The Scopoletus ship is making its vital journey through Greece's small Cyclades, connecting the remote islands of Heraklia, Chinosha, and Kofonisi with Naxos and Amargos. Known for its ability to navigate in poor weather, the ship provides essential supplies and services to these isolated communities, acting as a lifeline for residents, especially during harsh winter months when other boats may be unable to operate. Now back at home, the Department of Agriculture starts releasing cheaper rice from the National Food Authority to local government units as part of the Food Security Emergency Declaration. Paolo Barcelon has more.
Almost 70 towns and cities in the country will soon get NFA rice stocks, as Agriculture Secretary Francisco Tiu Laurel and some local officials say sale of the cheap rice will start on Monday. Tiu Laurel says the aim is to lower rice prices and help local farmers by buying their grain. The government earlier allotted 9 billion pesos to purchase palay for buffer stocks. The agency also confirmed that a stall at the Murphy Market in Quezon City sold rice infected with weevils, locally known as bukbok. The stall was ordered to stop selling the insect-laden rice.
Just like to clarify that is not NFA rice. No, hindi NFA rice yung may bukbok. Confirmed na may bukbok, pinaimbestigahan ko na to, and definitely it is an isolated incident. Pinakita ko nga kay Mayor at kay Congressman yung mga tags dito, which you can see, meron dyan 1-day-old stock pa lang, meron 2.12 months, meron 1 month pa lang.
This is just part of the 150,000 metric tons of rice from government stocks that authorities aim to sell to local government units over the next 6 months. In total, over 300,000 metric tons of rice will be sold to the market for the entire year. Local governments in Metro Manila are also preparing for the sale of cheap rice. Metro Manila Council Chairman and San Juan City Mayor Francis Zamora says around 1,000 sacks of rice will be sold in their city for 33 pesos per kilo starting Monday. Zamora says he aims to sell all his stock before local election campaigning begins on March 28th.
If we start, for instance, on Monday, then we will try to finish as fast as we can. Hindi na siya umabot po sa election period.
The DA says local governments can determine the amount of rice a person can buy as long as it's priced from 33 to 35 pesos per kilo. Aside from Metro Manila, Camarines Sur, Isabela, Cebu City, Cagayan de Oro, and Zamboanga are among the first areas in Visayas and Mindanao to receive the rice shipments. Paolo Barcelon, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Now we got more with the girls as we turn it over to Anne's best impression of Master Hands.
Now guys, heto na! How is your luck shaping up today? Are you gonna be lucky or not? Feng Shui Master Hans Kua has the answers as he joins us for our horoscope of the day.
Good day! It's a beautiful day with me, Master Hans Kua. Ito po ang horoscope for the day para sa araw ng Huwebes, February 20. Para sa mga pinanganak ng Year of the Rat, huwag mawala ng pag-asa sa financial setbacks. Yellow at 1. Sa Oksamana, ang sipag at tiyaga ay magbibigay ng reward sa iyong career. Red at 3. Kay Tiger naman na mag-invest sa sustainable at eco-friendly na mga project. Yellow at 1. Sa Year of the Rabbit naman na uminom ng herbal teas para sa natural na relaxation. Silver at 6. Kay Drago naman, huwag laging magpa-stress sa trabaho. Mag-break kung kinakailangan. Gold at 9. Kay Snake naman ang iwasan ang labis na pagkain sa mga buffet. Kontrolin ang savings. Orange at 2. Ito naman! Say of the Horsey, ang pagiging adaptable mo ay magdadala ng success sa pagbabago sa trabaho. Purple at 8. Kay Ship naman ang uminom ng fresh coconut water para labanan ang UTI at dehydration. Pink at 7. Kay Monkey naman huwag kalimutan maglaan ng konti para sa sarili. Rewards motivate success. Blue at 5. Kay Rooster naman tayo, huwag matakot, magpakita ng tunay na nararamdaman. Appreciation is the key. Red at 4. So of the Dog naman tayo, subukan ang Tai Chi exercise para sa balance at relaxation. Green at 1. Kay of the Pig naman tayo, magtabi ng maliit na halaga araw-araw upang mabuo ang savings. Yellow at 6. Paalala lang, ito po ay patnubay lamang. Ang tunay na swerte ay nagsisimula sa pagiging totoo. Ako po, si Master Hans-Kua.
Right, so I'm gonna drink buko juice today. Thank you for that, Master Hans-Kua. Now, is it love that makes the world go round, or is it money? How does money affect love if you're lucky enough to have both? Coach V returns after the break for today's Love Hacks. It's a beautiful day. We'll be right back.
Ciao, mabuhay. You are watching The Word Exposed.
Prepare our hearts as we dive deeper into our faith and receive the strength from God's Word. Join Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle as he shares the reflection we need for the rest of the week.
We pray that the Word of God would find fulfillment in your life and His blessings be always upon you.
Every Sunday, 7 a.m. with replays at 3 p.m.
Hello and welcome back. You're still watching It's a Beautiful Day. Now, Jennifer Lopez once sang that, "My love don't cost a thing." But in today's dating scene, is that really true? Let's go find out. Coach V. Antonio now joins us for today's Love Hacks. Take it away, Coach.
Good morning, loves. It's a beautiful day. Coach V here, bringing you a brand new way to level up your love life. Welcome to Love Hacks. Is money a love magnet or a love barrier? Some say kapag mayaman ka, mas madali ang love life, while others argue mas mahirap malaman kung sino ang totoo. My loves, after 11 years of matchmaking millionaires, CEOs, and celebrities, I've seen how wealth changes the dating game. Money doesn't guarantee love, but it changes how you find and experience relationship. Let's dive into the science and realities of dating when wealth is involved. The ultra-rich often question if they're loved for who they are or for their wealth. Many wonder, would she still love me if I lost everything? Not all women marry for love because some prioritize financial security. Now let's talk about women. Successful women struggle to find confident partners. Men admire them, but many don't want to date them. Some feel they have to tone down their success just to make relationships work. While going back to men, some men seek wealthy women to be taken care of. Nako, this is problematic. They expect her to lead financially and emotionally. But most high-achieving women still desire a man with leadership and drive. But the question is, ilan lang ba ang mas successful sa kanila? Rich women have a smaller dating pool, not just because men feel intimidated, but women, naturally, they want successful partners as well. It's human nature to want a match that elevates your status. We matchmakers call it hypergamy. Celebrities struggle with trust as well. They have endless admirers but worry about privacy and finding someone who isn't just after fame. A client once told me, I won't date outside of private referrals or matchmaking because I don't want the public to know that I'm single, Coach V. Now let's talk about the science of it. Studies show that wealth expands dating options for sure, but it increases also trust issues. Yale University found that high net worth individuals are more likely to question their partner's true intentions. Imagine kapag lagi kang duda kung mahal ka ba talaga nila. So, is love easier for the rich? Yes and no. They have more choices, but finding an emotionally and financially compatible partner remains a challenge. Science says how money shapes relationships. Financial stability, usually less relationship stress. A Journal of Marriage and Family study found that money fights are the #1 predictor of divorce. So, financial security reduces stress and strengthens emotional stability. Now, here's my insight. The happiest couples aren't always the richest, but for sure, they are financially aligned. Next, too many choices makes it harder to commit. A Harvard study found that wealthy individuals struggle more with settling down due to the paradox of choice. Ibig sabihin, there's too many options, so it creates hesitation. Now, many high net worth clients delay commitment, thinking, what if there's someone better, Coach V? And some experience fear of missing out or FOMO. Another power dynamics can make or break relationships. The London School of Economics found that high-earning women are more likely to stay single because men often prefer partners who earn less. Agree ba kayo dyan? Nako, may ngumingit ha? Meanwhile, wealthy men are seen as more desirable the more rich they are. Now, what's the solution, mga loves? How to find real love no matter your financial status? Number 1, date where high-quality people are. Science shows that people who date within their circles are more successful. So, if you want a serious relationship, expand your network. Here's a matchmaker tip. Join exclusive events, yung mga luxury travel groups, or industry networking clubs to meet people with the shared values as you. If you have the resources, why don't you consider yung mga luxury matchmaking services where matches are screened for financial alignment, family background, and even real commitment. Even us, we have a gold digger filter. Now, here's a fact. Yes! Wow!
Gold digger? You call someone gold digger ka? My God.
So it's just helping our clients, be able to pick more compatible matches. In fact, 78% of high net worth individuals used matchmaking services report because it reports that there's a higher relationship satisfaction than if they relied on dating apps. See, you really need to find people who are within your circle. Now, think of it like hiring a headhunter, pero for the heart. Next tip would be transparent and intentional. The right partner will respect your journey, not just your paycheck. Couples who discuss money openly at least once a month have 40% higher relationship satisfaction. O, di ba, once a month pala, you just have to have that money discussion and it increases your satisfaction in relationship. Last tip, prioritize similar goals over lifestyle. Ang long-term love is built on shared goals talaga mga love, emotional connection, and mutual respect. Hindi lang attraction and status. Remember, loves, money expands your dating options, yes, but love is about making the right choices no matter what your social economic is. Wealth isn't a love barrier. It's an opportunity to find the right partner in the right spaces. And by the way, as a matchmaker, I could tell, love isn't just found, it's actually built with the right person. Now, comment your thoughts on Bilyonaryo News channels, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And again, this is Coach V giving you real talk about real love. Remember, all is fair in love, whether you're just starting out or already a Bilyonaryo. Join me again next week on It's a Beautiful Day. Love you.
Wow, may pa-flying kiss.
Okay.
So, I like this topic.
Why?
Because it's true.
My gold digger filter.
I was thinking that. Looked at me. I just said what you were thinking.
No, I did not. I was not thinking that. No, pero no.
Yeah, it is true. Parang it's really hard for successful women to find good relationships or a good partner that will totally understand her status in life, especially if the partner isn't doing that well. Parang hindi as rich, kumbaga.
Kind of like what happened in Crazy Rich Asians, right? The girl, the sister, she was way richer than the guy, and it caused the guy to lead to cheating.
Yeah.
So is that a science? Like, I mean, is that backed by science?
Yes,
like, does that really
Monique, there's
happen?
actually a study that says that if the woman provides more in the relationship in terms of financial, the man is likely to cheat.
And why is that?
Yes. Well, that includes one is, of course, the man's ego to provide. They want to be able to lead the relationship. Usually, whoever has the paycheck or a higher paycheck, they're the one who leads the relationship. So, nadadala yung masculine energy even in the relationship.
Kasi guys, they usually want to be the provider sa families,
They're
right?
proud of
Yeah, so pagka kunwari, it's the wife that does all of that, medyo nanilid sila sa sarili nila, di ba?
Is it a gender role thing for in general? Is it because of the fact that yun nga, kapag lalaki, sinasabi natin, sila kailangan maging yung provider?
Okay, so gender role is one thing, but it's very biological as well. Diba? Even evolutionary, we've always learned and felt that as a man, you should be the one going out and hunting.
Right.
And as women, I should be able to focus my energy with the children and not with making money.
Coach, we have a question. For our viewers who are just starting to date, when should they start talking about finances?
Oh, so basically, especially not on a first date, for sure.
How much do you make?
But I would say when you are 6 months into dating, yung tipong you're seeing that you are going exclusive already. Because also, information on financial is important. Hindi ka naman agad-agad you're gonna go on date with somebody that you don't have any visibility. There's a reason why you went out with them on a first date. And I feel like you have an idea already of where they are financially or if you guys match in that criteria.
Yeah, parang it's like you're probably already in the same circle, you already know yung mga tastes ninyo, and of course, yung affordability ng mga dates.
That's
I think
true.
it's all gonna be there.
Pao, quick question. Would you date somebody who earns higher than you?
Yes,
the
Pao?
spot.
Yes.
I love how Coach B.
We want to hear this, Paolo?
Ba't nag-zoom in yung camera?
Lapit,
guys.
Lapit pa more.
Well, can I probably date? I don't know, to be honest, how it would lead into in terms of yung financial, how it works out financially. To be honest, on paper, it's not a bad thing, obviously. Diba? It's not a bad thing on paper, pero ayun nga, I guess there's a bit of the whole gender role and the
power
feeling.
dynamics.
I'm not saying I'm adverse against successful women. In fact, I encourage every woman out there to go get it. Go get your bag. Go really go and be as successful as you can
But
possibly.
would you
be.
marry
Yes, I can
them?
vouch for that. He does do that.
Yeah, I
He's
mean,
my
just-
biggest cheerleader.
Just go ahead, right? I mean, like even my girlfriend and I'm telling, hey, go ahead, go get your bag. But at the same time, I guess there's a bit of pride involved as well. That has to be considered.
Yeah. How about the ladies? Would you date somebody who earns less than you?
Well, they earn a lot kaya
No,
when they
wow.
earn less, it's not as much
That's why I thought maybe they could relate here, right?
You know, this kind of reminds me of that Sex and the City episode where Miranda and Steve started dating. Steve is just a bartender, and syempre Miranda's this established lawyer. She earns a lot, right? And then they broke up because Steve felt na parang he couldn't catch up with the success of Miranda. And Miranda telling her friends na, I don't want to apologize for my success. I want to be in a relationship where the man understands where I'm at, and I don't have to apologize for that.
Never seen Sex
I've
and the
never
City.
seen that episode.
But this is very interesting, and despite, of course, all the challenges with women, I can say that as a matchmaker, you can find love if you don't lead with your money, because it's not your money na tinitingnan ng male when it comes to selecting a wife.
One thing that really caught my eye or perked up my ears is when you mentioned that for celebrities that minsan hinahabol na yung fame. Not necessarily saying that we're looking at the fame of everyone, pero minsan status talaga yung hinahabol eh.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily fame, but then to be considered
clout.
like
Yeah,
you're
it's the
hanging
clout
out
of
with this
that group.
person. Yung clout
Yeah.
of being part of like this person in the industry or whatever industry that may be, not necessarily being a celebrity. How much of a factor is that when it comes to both guys and girls? Because I feel like it go both ways.
It go both ways, right? But it usually works for men because it adds to their attractiveness. For women naman, I mean, yes, it could add to their attractiveness, but more on the fear goes up because it's a legitimate concern. Kasi imagine, di ba, yung iba after dating, they would say, oh, you would be surprised kung sino yung kadate ko kagabi. And then they start talking about it. So if they're not legitimately in love with a person or they really like them, nagiging talk of the time, oh, you didn't know who I slept with last night. So yan yung iniiwasan ng mga high-status people as well.
Interesting. I know, Coach V, like for the Filipino culture, it's different as well because typically the men make more than the women. Is that still the case now?
Well, we are seeing more female CEOs now more than ever, but still malayo pa din. Mas marami pa din talagang male who's leading companies, organizations, and jobs. But by the end of the day, we can see a lot of women earning mga graduate studies, di ba? Masters, PhD now more than ever. So I would always say, if you have money, women, you can use that to enter societies where you could find a match, di ba? Gamitin mo yung money mo to be part of a private gym or to travel, no? But never lead with your money because it's not the money that makes the men fall in love.
Yeah, date in your circles.
Yeah. Right? You know what? I remember this one celebrity, hindi ko na in-name, but parang in-interview siya and then tinanong, wag na, tinanong, are you gonna date someone or are you okay to date someone who earns less, hindi masyadong maraming money? And then the celebrity said, of course not. Diba? Bago ka magkipag-date, you have to be financially stable first. You cannot just rely on your partner.
But
diba?
it's not just about being financially stable. It's if you can afford the same things. 'Cause
Yeah,
you can be financially
yeah.
stable but not afford the same things.
Relatability is there too. If you have a different lifestyle, you know what cold plunge is.
Right.
You know what, sauna and spa is. But if you don't have that lifestyle, it's kind of hard to connect. There's like two different worlds that you have to put an effort to bridge. And understand each
Or if
other.
one
Minsan
likes...
nagko-cold plunge yung ako, ice bag lang. Or naka-ice tubig lang ako
likes the
diba?
bougie food.
And I think it's really okay if you prefer someone who has more money than you or at least equal, diba?
Absolutely.
I think that's okay, especially if the girls, diba, when they're dating, kasi
honestly,
sometimes
There's always a running joke diba, marry rich para tapos na.
Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's really all about love and communication. Because you have to build that foundation.
We need a real-life gold
You're
digger
right.
filter though. We need a real-life gold digger filter.
I'm okay. Really, as a matchmaker, nakikita namin sa simula ang daming criteria. But the moment that they start spending time with them, nade-develop. Kahit ano pa yung social economic status.
yeah.
Interesting.
Mahirap lang sa simula kasi parang order list, di ba? Ang daming gusto.
Yeah.
But usually, you've seen a lot of cases na kahit hindi similar ang social economic status na in love once they start connecting and spending time together.
All right, Coach V, we're gonna end with that. And you know what? We really need that gold digger filter. I'm not done with that. Pero maraming salamat. We cannot wait to see you again next week.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so that is it for us this Thursday, February 20. I'm Paolo del Rosario. Thank you very much for joining us.
I'm Anne Asis-Carilo. Thank you for making us your daily morning habit. Wherever this day takes you, remember to choose joy and spread love and kindness.
And I'm Monique Tuzon. Have a great Thursday ahead. Join us again tomorrow at 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. Only here on
It's a Beautiful Day! Spread out.